Yeah, this is Sonal in the flesh. Yeah, so this is what she's going to look like, but probably with not such a clean line, this one. So we tried, and that's what we tried putting over here. My name's Upamanyu Bhattacharyya. I'm from Kolkata. I studied animation film design in this college called the National Institute of Design, which is in Ahmedabad, which is on the other side of India. I graduated at the end of 2014, and shortly after we set up a little studio in Calcutta called Ghost Animation, and that's when we made our first short film called Wade, which we completed about a year and a half ago, and it's been playing in festivals ever since. And after that was done, that's what brought me to this project. Heirloom is a family story, really, first and foremost. It's set in Ahmedabad, which is the city where I studied and really learnt my craft. And Ahmedabad used to be, well, they call it the Manchester of India because of a big history of machine-made fabrics. So the family starts their business in this kind of a situation where they buy from weavers and they sell to markets. But then the protagonist, who's a woman called Sonal, she has a history of family disease, and she wants to overcome that by earning enough to be able to cushion herself against the impact that that's going to have on her life. It's going to be a 2D digitally animated film. But I do think a lot of the backgrounds will be made on paper using actual pencil and not a pencil simulation brush or something. And what happens is this gets made on paper first, based on different references. So that's all just pencil on like this slightly off-white paper. And then I take a picture of it, and then it comes over here where we've been trying to add color digitally. So this is the photograph. And then you kind of just build color on top of that bit by bit until you have a satisfactory palette based on the references that you have. There's an infinite amount of work left to do so far. Currently we're focusing on style frames, and if that image altogether is giving a very clear enough idea to anyone who sees it that this is what the film will end up looking like without me having to explain, no, actually this is a bit too sketchy, but it'll get better later. So just a final condensed collection of all these intentions in a few images is what we're trying to accomplish now. Here's one example of how that works. Here's a version of the character inside an existing background drawing, and the objective is to match the language of both of them as much as possible. So as you can see, there are a few versions. So just little differences between, let's say, is the shading going to be a pencil scribble or is it going to be a watercolor wash? So even all of these things will determine whether the character actually belongs in the environment behind or not. And it's a little difficult to decide because you can probably see over here there is also a watercolor wash in the background, but there's also pencil scribbling. So the question is which one of those, when adapted to the character's work, ends up working the best way possible. There are differences, and those differences especially will translate to very large processes, because right now I'm applying this to one frame, but eventually it's going to have to be in every single frame of the animation in the whole film. So these are big commitments to make, and that's why it's good to, get as much wrong as possible now and not have to figure this out at a later stage when the stakes are higher. So it's good to get all of that done now. There are two things that I want to tackle in the next few days. One is the style frames. That's just an iterative process. I don't think you can plan when you're going to end up cracking that. You just have to keep working towards it. And the second part, which is always very nice, is to sit with the scene breakdown, try to figure out a very approximate shot breakdown, and in the dirtiest, worst drawings possible, just thumbnail it out and see what a very approximate storyboard starts looking like, because then once it's there you can kind of shuffle through it and you get a very rough picture of the film in motion, which is super exciting, and that's when it actually starts condensing from the clouds and becoming real. So yeah, that's the plan for the next few days. So I think I'll just alternate between those two processes.